Hey, hello. Thank you for joining me today. This is Liz Wright from Liz at Home, Cape Town, South Africa. I've colored this picture by Tanya Bond from her Grayscale collection, and I just wanted to show you the finished article, and then I'm going to do a flip through. There are only 12 images in this collection. I bought the collection from Etsy from a gift card given to me for Christmas by Peggy, and so I will put the link to that as well. And then when the flip through is finished, I color the skin using Copic markers in real time, just to show you how I did that in case you're interested in watching that. So if you're only interested in the flip through, then that's fine and you can stop watching then. Otherwise, if you want to see how I did the skin and the Copic markers, then please join me as we do that. This Grayscale collection is not available on Amazon as a standalone coloring book. It is part of a duality diary planner kind of book that she has. So in case you want them from Amazon, I'll put a link to that in the description below the video. And next follows the coloring of the skin. I've decided to color this image in from the Grayscale collection, and I'm just going to be using my Copics to color it with. I've printed it on paper that I find great for markers. It's an HP color printing paper. A lot of people like Nina smooth cardstock. The thing with marker paper is it should be a smooth vellum, a smooth coated paper. Vellum smooth, not the same vellum that you use for pencil. So yeah, I'm going to be using these colors, E000. These are all Copic Charles, but any Copic or any color markers you like. So E000, E00 first, and that's what I'm starting with. So I'm going to just zoom in on the face to start with. I'm going to first do a base coat of the E000. Just let me zoom in so that you can see what I'm doing. Using the brush side of the marker and just basically going over the whole of the face with this, just a base coat. And what I like about this paper is that because it's coated, the marker tends to sit on the top quite a lot and not soak in. And also because it's so smooth, it doesn't wreck the nib of the expensive markers at all. So this particular marker is a little bit empty. I might have to fill it. I'm going even over the eyebrows and the eyelids. And it just creates some way to add the shading to. What is nice about Grayscale is that the artist, because of the Grayscale, guides us quite nicely in where we should be shading. And what I like about this particular Grayscale is it's not terribly dark. So I find coloring very dark Grayscale quite difficult, I must say. I don't know if you guys enjoy doing it, but I prefer just a plain image or a light Grayscale, especially with markers. Otherwise, to me, sometimes the image ends up looking just dirty. So just colouring, and don't forget the ears. Keep trying to decide what color hair to give this girl. I think I'm going to make her blonde. To excuse me. So I hope you guys all had a nice Christmas and everything. I must say, I tend to breathe a sigh of relief when Christmas is over. I know so many people, especially watching all these color tubers, love it. I think it's a sign of my age. I find it all a bit overwhelming. I was very spoiled this year in that I didn't end up having to do very much, so I shouldn't complain. I'm not complaining. But I still breathe a sigh of relief when it's over. Okay, so I've done a basic base coat of this E000. Now, the other thing is when you do skin and you've colored nothing else, it tends to look quite scary. And this is a little bit blotchy, but I'm going to have about 3 or 4 layers, so don't worry about it. Now I'm going to map some shadows with E00. And if you think of where shadows would be, if I were to hold this brush over here against the paper, you can see that it's quite a dark mark coming underneath that. That kind of a shadow is called a cast shadow. So anything that is above something else tends to cast a shadow. And if you think about the hair, that will be casting a shadow. So I'm going to use this darker color just to show where the cast shadow will be, just around the hairline. Again, I'll be going over it again, so don't worry. And there's hair everywhere there. The chin tends to stand out a little bit, so don't need to worry so much there. Then you can see there's cast shadows in the little bit by the ear and over there, so we're going to do that. And then under the chin there's kind of an upside down C, just so that the chin shows a bit, and then in the little hollow of the between the nose and the lips, and then around the nostrils there, and then along the eyebrow where we can see those shadows. And then I'm going to feather shade out towards that brow bone. And I'm also going to, here the apples of the cheeks are, we're going to want them to stand out, but I'm going to feather shade a little bit down there. And there's definite shading there, and definite shading below, beneath the nose there, and then also a little bit over there, and shading along there. So we've done all of those cast shadows and a bit in there, not too much, just so that the apples of the cheeks can shine. I'm going to follow this shading where it's grey here, and where the clothes would cast a shadow, and beneath the chin. Okay, so I've sort of mapped out the shading areas just to give myself a nice idea. I'm not quite happy with that. Yet the thing with mapping this, with it being light, is that it allows you to correct when you go in with a darker shading color. Now we're going to go over exactly the same area where we mapped out our cast shadows with E11, which is a bit darker. And don't get a fright when you do that. So that was around the hairline. The thing with markers is that one actually blends and blends and blends. I think we often think of a marker as just one layer and then shading with pencils, which is another way of doing things, but you can do an entire image with marker. So I just want to go under the eye, and I've gone in the eye socket there. And now I didn't like what I did with the E11 here, so I'm just blending in slightly. I don't mean the E11, the E00. And the side of the mouth there. There's a bit of a shadow there. I'm following her shadows here, the artist's shadows. Which does make it a little bit easier than trying to work it all out exactly yourself. I would like to add just a little, this would be here, there's a little, usually a little indentation there, so I'm just going to add a bit of an indentation there at the side of the nose. And blending out there. Leaving the circles of the cheeks free as a highlight. And then going under with the chin area. I love Tanya Bond's images. I'm leaving a very little area there, and this would be in shadow. It's quite realistic, and then also inside the ear and the shadow there. All right, so that's the E11. Now I'm going to go over it again with the E00, just blending it out a little bit and softening it. Over E00 here is our main skin color, but I'm going over everything except the highlight areas. So I don't want to go over the main circle in the middle of the forehead. So don't freak out when you look at it like this. And just blending that out a little bit. So everything except the highlight. So now there will be a bit of a highlight standing out on that brow bone. And the main area of the nose will stand out more. Go over everything here with E00. I just need to, what I didn't do with the E11 was go under this eye. I forgot. So going over there, you can see it kind of softens the lines. And the thing to remember all the time is that we're not finished yet. So when it looks awful like this, just keep reminding yourself you're not yet finished. So I want to leave the apple of the cheek to stand out, but I'm coloring in. I want to leave those little lines to stand out, but I'm coloring in all the rest of the areas here. I'm a bit concerned about that. I don't feel as if I've got that shape very well. So all of this gets colored except for the little bit of chin that stands out. And I think this area is the area that will stand out most. So I'm just going to leave a little highlight area there and the collarbone. All right. Now we're going to get to our very lightest marker, and we're going to, because you can see these bits just stand out, so we want to blend them in a little bit more. And so we're going to go from these light areas and blend into the shadow areas so that we don't have lines. Blending, blending, blending. I apologize for the squeaky noise. Blending, 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 blending. So adding layers and layers and layers. And you need to also remember that once the hair has been done, it all starts to look better as well. So from the light area there into, need to make sure I've gone over everything. This is where using marker paper or coated paper like this makes a big difference, because it's really difficult to do this on normal cardstock because it just eats up your nib and it soaks up so much more ink, whereas with this kind of paper the ink tends to stand on top a little bit, and so it's easier to blend. So from the lighter area there, can you see how much better that's looking? Not thrilled with that bit. And then from the lighter area here, starting to look better. Going over everything, the lighter area on those clavicles or whatever you call them. And then the ear. This is getting dark. It picks up the grayscale printing ink from my printer, unfortunately. Luckily with Copics you can actually change the nib. So there we are. All right, so now we're getting somewhere. Now we've done a full round of the blend, but it's still looking a little bit flat. And now we're going to add an even darker level, which might freak you out a little bit, and that's E04, which is quite a dark color. And for that, we're only going to put it with the cast shadow, so in the darkest places. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea, sorry. So, along the hairline, don't need to worry too much about the line being terribly fine or anything. And then I'm going to do it over here where these dark shadows are. So this may freak you out a little bit because it's so dark. But don't let it worry you too much, because it's a pinky shade and our skins tend to be a mixture, even dark toned skins tend to be a mixture of pinks and yellows. So I'm going over these darkest shades here. And along this area here. There we are, and that shadow. Just feathering this a little bit. And under the chin area. The clavicle. And the shadow of the clothing. And the side of the neck to give it a round feeling, and the inner area of the ear over here as well. There we are. Now we need to soften that, so that looks quite scary, doesn't it? So we need to soften that again with E11. Feather everything, going over the whole lot and feathering it out. As you blend over it, it lightens the color that you're going over. So basically we're going to do the whole blend again. Going over all of that and shaping, sort of contouring the face. So go over both sides of this. a whole different way of colouring in that it's almost like painting. So the neck as well. Bring that all in. I hope this video is not going to be too long. The only trouble with YouTube videos is that if you want to try and show something, I kind of worry a little bit that it's too long, and then I rush. Then going over that there again, just the shadows. All right, so now I've gone over, checking we're on screen still. Now that was E11, now we're going back to E00, which remember is the main color of the skin. And I'm having another sip. So I want to leave that clear, but otherwise I'm going to go over everything. I was going to do the hair online in this video as well, but I think I'll do it off screen so that the video's not so long, and then you can let me know if you'd like me to do another Copic video showing you colouring hair. I can use a different, you can let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a different image from this book that I've just done the flip through, or if you'd like me to maybe do a Hannah Lynn, or it would need to be one of the things that I have a PDF book of. I have many PDF books there, so you can make a suggestion. And just to show you how I use the same kind of idea with using color with shadow colors and then highlight colors. Looking over there. Little bit worried by this shadow for the chin. If they look a bit too much like lines. I think while that is wet, I'm going to use the E11 and just feather that out again. And here. So when you find something looks like a line while the marker's wet, then you need to work it a little bit. This is E00 once again. Looking better. Now we're going to do the eyes, and for that I've got in the Copics again B24, B21 and B00. So I'm going to start with the darkest color, which is B24, and I'm just going to I want to first actually use a little fine liner to go over the pupil in black. She's put the highlight in, but I prefer to actually add it afterwards. So I'm tracing around that and colouring it in. I just find it's easier to deal with. Then I'm using the B24 and doing just a little bit at the top of the eye on the iris. Then I'm going to take the B21. I've only got a normal Copic with that, so this doesn't have a brush nib, and I'm going over the lower part of that blue that I've already used and down a bit. And then I'm using the B00. And I'm going to leave a little bit here on the right hand side, just white as a highlight, but I'm going over the rest so that you can sort of see the direction of her gaze. Then I'm just going to repeat that again. So it's B24, darker color. B21, the mid color, and then the B00, leaving just a small bit, oops, it's the wrong side, leaving a small bit uncolored as a white highlight. And then with my fine liner, I do like to just go over the little eyelashes again, just following the artist's lines quite carefully to try and bring them out a little bit, and I'm just stippling along there. I need to turn the image so that I can do this. Very lightly just going over that, and then when that's all dried and at the end I will put a white dot on the pupil to give a highlight. And I'm going to use the lips, and for that I've chosen RV29, RV13, RV29, RV25 and RV13. I don't have a lot of these RV colors, so I had to choose what I have, and I hope it looks okay. So I'm starting with the end, the edge of the lip, and I'm just doing a little bit of this darker color and a very fine line following again the artist, and she's also got it darker in the middle here, so I'm following her lines and following the shape of the lip the way she's done it. Then I'm taking the next color, which is the RV25, and once again I only have that in a normal Copic. I'm going over that Sorry, I've gone quiet. Always go quiet when I concentrate. I think I'm going to choose the whole lip in this actually. Just going to use the darker color here again. Getting a lip liner look there, and along the center of the lip. I find doing very fine lines with Copics still a bit difficult. I get shaky, and then I want to follow some of those lip lines that the artists put in. I'm just going to go over the whole lot with this again. To turn it down. I'm not sure about that, so I think I'm going to fill that in there. That's better. Colouring the whole lip in with the darker colour because I didn't like what I'd done. And then I will put, once it's all dried, I will put white gel pen on the top for highlights. So now I'll come back when I've completed the face off screen. So here we have our completed face with the clothes and the hair and everything, and as you can see, the skin tone and all of it actually turns out very much better than when you just see the skin with everything else white against the background. I've played with this a little bit as well. I decided I didn't like the dots I did with the white gel pen. I extended them a little bit, and then I also played with the background. I removed the background and I added a digital background just to show you a different image, so I'm just going to add that as well. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please share it with your friends, and I wish you a wonderful and colourful week. Bye-bye now.